Your ADHD brain does not buy things. It buys a feeling, and the thing is just the delivery van. Nobody will tell you this, so I will. That cart you fill at 11 p.m. is not about the cart. The checkout button is not about the product. You are not shopping. You are dosing. And once you see the machine running underneath the spending, you cannot unsee it, which is exactly the point of the next 15 minutes. Let me walk you through the machine, step by step, because it is more physical than you think. Start with the chemical at the center of all of this, dopamine. You have probably heard it called the pleasure chemical. It is not. That is the lie that ruins everyone's understanding of their own behavior. Dopamine is not the chemical of getting, it is the chemical of wanting. It does not spike when the package arrives. It spikes when you imagine the package arriving. It is the anticipation molecule, the lean forward, the almost. Now here is the part that applies to you specifically. The ADHD brain runs low on this wanting signal in everyday life. The dishes do not produce it. The email does not produce it. The slow grind of a normal Tuesday produces almost nothing. So your brain sits there understimulated, restless, flat, like a phone at 4% that nobody will let charge. And it goes looking. It is not being dramatic. It is hunting for a hit because the baseline feels like static. Spending is one of the cleanest hits available. It is legal. It is instant. It is socially acceptable. You can do it from bed. And every single step of a purchase is engineered by people far smarter and far better funded than you to deliver wanting in small, repeated, perfectly timed doses. Watch how the dose gets built. You feel a small bad feeling first, boredom, a flat afternoon, a fight you lost, a wave of that restless itch where your skin feels too tight for the room. You may not even register it as a feeling, it just registers as I should look at my phone. That is the trigger. That is step one, and you almost never notice step one because it is quiet and it is fast. Step two, you open an app. The feed loads. And now the wanting begins, because every product is a tiny promise of a better version of you. The jacket is not a jacket. It is the person who owns that jacket. The gadget is not a gadget. It is the organized, capable, finally on top of it version of you that the gadget implies. Your brain does not buy objects. It buys identities, and it pays in advance. Step 3. The dopamine climbs. Not when you own it, when you might own it. The browsing itself is the drug. This is why you can spend 40 minutes filling a cart and feel completely absorbed, completely calm, completely there for the first time all day. That focus you cannot summon for your actual work shows up instantly for shopping, and that is not a coincidence. The hunt gives your understimulated brain exactly the stimulation it was starving for. You are not lazy. You are self-medicating with a credit card. Step 4. The purchase. The click. And here is the cruel design detail almost nobody points out to you. The peak of the feeling is the click, not the delivery. The wanting was the whole show. So the second you buy, the curtain drops. The dopamine that pulled you all the way here has nothing left to give because its entire job was to get you to the click, and you clicked, which is why the box arrives 3 days later and you feel almost nothing. You open it with the enthusiasm of opening the electric bill. The thing that promised to fix the feeling cannot even remember making the promise. So your brain, flat again, restless again, 4% again, does the only thing it knows. It goes looking for the next hit, and the next, and the loop closes around you like a seatbelt. Now let me name what this is actually costing you, because the money is the smallest part. Yes, you are losing money. Probably more than you have ever let yourself add up, which is its own tell, because you do not avoid adding up things that are fine. But the money is not the deep wound. The deep wound is that you have trained your brain to believe that the only reliable source of relief, the only switch that actually works when you feel bad, is spending. You have taught yourself, thousands of repetitions deep, that a feeling is a thing you purchase your way out of. That is the real cost, not the jacket. The lesson. Every time you soothe a bad feeling with a purchase, you make the next bad feeling slightly more expensive because you are reinforcing the wiring. You are paying to dig the groove deeper. And a groove, dug 10,000 times, stops feeling like a choice. It feels like who you are. It is not who you are. This is a mechanism, not a character flaw. You did not wake up weak. You inherited a brain that runs low on a specific signal, and you found, the way any sensible animal would, the fastest available way to feel that signal. The shame you carry about it is wasted. The credit card companies are not ashamed. The app designers are not ashamed. They built the machine on purpose. You just walked into it without the manual. Here is the manual. First, the peak nobody tells you about, the one line that makes the whole thing click. You are not addicted to buying. You are addicted to wanting. The buying is just how the wanting ends. Sit with that, because it flips the entire fix on its head. If the high is in the hunt, not the haul, then the cart is not the problem, and owning less is not the solution. The wanting is the drug, and the wanting is also, beautifully, completely free. That is the door out. You can have the wanting without the spending, because the wanting was always the part you actually came for. So, the interruptions. Concrete, physical, do them with your hands. Interruption 1. Name the feeling out loud before you name the product. The second you notice you are browsing, stop and say what you actually feel. Bored, lonely, angry, twitchy, understimulated. You are not journaling. You are just dragging step 1 into the light, because the trigger only works while it stays invisible. The moment you say, I am bored and shopping is how I am handling it, the spell weakens. Naming the feeling is the cheapest intervention on earth, and almost nobody does it, because it is not fun and it does not produce dopamine. That is precisely why it works. Interruption 2. Let yourself want it. Fully, add it to the cart. Look at it. Read the reviews. Imagine owning it. Get the entire dopamine hit of the hunt, every drop of it, and then do not buy it. Close the tab. You just harvested the actual drug, the wanting, for free, and you skipped the part that empties your account and arrives in a box you will not open. This feels insane the first time. Do it anyway. You will be shocked how often the urge was fully satisfied by the looking, because the looking was the whole point, and you never knew it. Interruption 3. Build a wanting list, not a cart. A note on your phone. Everything you want goes on the list, instantly, no friction, because the brain just wants to be heard. The rule is, nothing comes off the list for 7 days. Most of it, you will find, dies on the list. The wanting was a wave. It rose, it crested, and 7 days later you cannot even remember why the desk lamp felt like salvation. You did not buy discipline. You just outlasted the chemical, which always passes. Interruption 4, and this is the one that fixes the root. Find another source of the signal. Because if you only block the spending and give your understimulated brain nothing in its place, it will not thank you. It will claw the walls until you cave, and then you will call yourself weak again. You are not weak. You are starving a brain and acting surprised when it eats the curtains. Give it real stimulation. Movement, hard and fast, the kind that leaves you breathing. A genuinely difficult game. A new skill that frustrates you in a good way. A cold shower if you are desperate. Anything that produces the lean forward feeling honestly. The goal is not to feel nothing. The goal is to stop letting the only feeling available be the one that ships from a warehouse. And one more, because it matters more than the rest combined. Add friction to the click and remove friction from everything else. Delete the saved cards. Log out of the apps. Make buying a 4-step annoyance and make wanting a 1-step note. Your brain takes the path of least resistance every time, so stop pretending willpower will save you and just move the resistance. Put it between you and the checkout, not between you and your own life. Here is what happens when you run these for a few weeks. The flat afternoons stay flat for a moment longer, and you survive them, which teaches your brain the thing it never learned. A bad feeling is not an emergency. It is whether. It passes whether or not you buy anything, and it always did. You just never gave it the chance to prove it, because you reached for the card before the cloud could move. The spending was never about the stuff. You knew that. You have a closet full of evidence, a drawer of cables for devices you no longer own, a shelf of the organized person you were going to become. None of it fixed the feeling, because none of it ever could, because the feeling was never out there in the store. It was a low signal in your own head looking for the nearest outlet, and the store was simply open 24 hours. So the next time you feel that pull, the restless reach for the phone, the cart filling itself while you barely notice, stop and tell yourself the true thing. You are not low on stuff. You are low on dopamine. And there has never once in your life been a package big enough to fix that. Want the feeling. It is free. Then close the tab.